This is the second part of our INI9 conversation with Ayesha Siddiqa on Pakistan, the middle class, and its in the context of a hybrid theocracy.
So, people were like, no. The military, Pakistan is evolving, military, there are too many challenges, especially economic challenges, and the military cannot take it on. Perhaps, we need to look more carefully in that. You see, my theory is that Pakistan and the Pakistani people have never faced or confronted the issue of creating its own resources. Our elite has been predatory, fed from outside. It is always dependent on external resources, be it be it the money sent by expats or aid. Now, perhaps once the conditions are such that we have to bear our own burden, then we begin to look at other possibilities.
Right, and that is probably the thing which there is the greatest resistance to, right? Well, this is the story of the last 2 years, whether it's the United States which said it or the IMF which said it. There has been great resistance within the political system to generate more resources domestically. I mean, not all resources, but even a fractionally more amount of money from domestic economy.
I don't even think that there is an issue of resistance. The thing is that if somebody is giving you money, why bother? You see, there is a cost of taking some hard decisions. And the governments come, the cycle of a standard cycle of a government, of a political government in particular, is it comes, it has issues. The first reaction is that it begins to, in an ideal situation, challenge the military a bit and then realize that no, that was a bad idea. And then they start giving in to the military establishment, or, like the current government, start, cooperating with them right, from the word go. So these are the two mechanisms. So by the time they reach their middle, there is absolutely no space for them to take hard decisions, which will have greater political cost. These political elements, unfortunately, do not have the capacity for increasing their political cost. So no hard decisions. So nothing on taxation, nothing of that sort. But again, the other decision, it's not just taxation. Taxation is simple. The harder thing, for example, is how do you make Pakistan attractive for foreign investment? Now, for that foreign investment, either you do what the present government did, which is kind of secret deals with the Chinese, which will eventually have a huge cost, phenomenal cost for Pakistan's development. Or the other is that, you make the environment viable for foreign investment, which means that you get rid of, all this militancy and jihadi networks. Decisions, which nobody wants to do. And one of the reasons is that, because of resources coming in, either they trickle in or, they come in bulk.
Yeah, it's that story of things are bad but not bad enough, so do something. Why do something now? It's similar to some of the discussions we've had about, difficult political decisions in India, right? The thing is, we need a crisis to reform, but the crisis has to be deep enough for all people in the political spectrum to understand that there is a crisis and therefore we need to reform, right? That's some sort of a theory. Arun Shourie, for example, said, never waste a good crisis. Now, does it work the same way, do you think, in Pakistan?
Well, since we don't live in planet Mars, I'm sure a crisis will work. What would be that crisis? That is the question. We are used to mini crises. electricity shortage, wheat shortage, this, that, and the other. But so far, what has happened is that the patronage system, the kleptocratic distribution, to make it simple, the selective distribution amongst cronies, that seems to be, making things going. And that patronage system completely depends on, foreign aid. So it's never been tested and tried. What if all of this dries up? What happens then? Because all of this is putting huge pressure, this policy is putting huge pressure on development of an indigenous capitalist class. Right now there is a complete dependence, historically there has been a complete dependence on the capitalist class in Pakistan and the military-led establishment. Look at all the major groups, Mansha, who runs the Muslim Commercial Bank. Then you have the Hashwanis or Malik Riaz, who's a real estate tycoon. All of these characters, none of them has kind of grown independently. They've all depended on the establishment.
Right. Now, maybe on this thing, I just want to catch you on your opinion on one. Within our circles in India, one of the big debates is: does free trade with Pakistan matter? Right? Will it help Pakistan? Will it help India? Will it help India-Pakistan relations? And there are two views. One view says that it really doesn't matter because it's not going to empower any constituency which would be interested in normalization. Whereas the other group of people argue that you will be creating possibly entrepreneurs and innovators who will make their wealth based on trade with India, let's say, and India or United States, anybody, right? So, do you think that the free trade argument has any merit to it?
You see, if you remember, I wrote an article and everybody got, a bit upset about it. They thought I was jumping the gun, and I talk about that Pakistan's actual strategic depth economically is India. Especially given the threat that, for example, China poses. Now, none of that was a suggestion that such a thinking is taking place. That was just a piece for the Pakistani policymakers to think that free trade with India has a lot of merit and we must consider it. There will be definite benefits. And I think one of the side benefits, one of the subsidiary benefits which will accrue is at least it may deepen our sense of our environment of pluralism. When you have these other influences and elements coming in, which are South Asian in character. I think trade will have definite benefits. Initially, it will come to the more prominent, important players. But then some of it is going to come down as well. I personally believe that one of the reasons that Pakistan and India, or for Pakistani, India is not relevant is because, you can't see and touch it.
Right.
If you look at the items which we trade, these are not visible items, chemicals or, something else like that. Once an average Pakistani begins to touch India, and sees that, there are things coming in which I can use, which ordinary man, woman can use, and it brings down his cost of life. Of course, that would be an investment in peace. And I think when you talk of a people-to-people dialogue, one of the biggest beneficiaries in the region is India, and the Indian, I think, civil service is not truly convinced of it. Right now, the kind of visa regime that has been slapped on on Pakistan is so comical.
Right.
I had to apply for a visa somewhere in October. Started filling out the forms. Finally, when I reached the last page, there was this thing, verifier in India. I just shut down the program. I was like, hell with it. I'm not going.
Right.
We are not all Ajmal Kasabs.
Right. And Ajmal Kasabs don't need a visa to come to India.
Exactly. And I think that the Indian civil bureaucracy needs to, understand that what they're doing in terms of another complication which has been added is that for a Pakistani to get a visa, they have to get a clearance certificate from their local SHO, senior house officer, police officer. I mean, what for? Why bring in a bureaucracy?
Right.
And I'm sure you have bribery in police as much as we have.
Right.
So, is it not possible to get a certificate from a character certificate from your local police officer? So, what you're doing here is actually perhaps making it easier for the bad guys to come, for the good guys to come.
Right. Right. Thanks. On that note, we'll end the second part of this INI9. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to have you in future as well.
Thank you.